Welcome to You, Me and the Counselling World, the podcast dedicated to student counsellors and the road to getting qualified and beyond. Today I'm going to be talking about empathy and why it's not enough to feel empathy, we have to find a way to show it. Hello, I hope you are all doing really well. It is nice to be back, and back a lot sooner than I normally would be. So this feels really good, and something that I've actually been looking forward to recording this episode today. It's nice to be able to sort of sit down and just chat, really. So here I am, sat quite cosy. I've got a cup of tea, and I am here to really just share some thoughts with you all. I do hope you're all okay. It's lovely to be into spring, isn't it? A little bit, and feeling a little bit brighter. I think that makes the world a difference to so many people. I'm always so aware as well that lots of people listen to this podcast from all over the world. So whilst I'm here rabbiting on about the weather, it might well be that wherever you are, it's completely different. And I always forget that. In fact, when I record this podcast, in my mind, nobody listens to it. So I just sort of put it out there. And that's just me all over, really, isn't it? I just go with it. Just go with what comes naturally to me. What you hear is what you get. It's something I wanted to just say there, really. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well, and that if you are in counselling training, I hope it's treating you really well and that things are going well for you. If you're a counsellor working in private practice, I hope you are managing. I know that it's quite difficult with the economy as it is at the moment. It's quite a challenge. So I hope you're getting what you need from your private practice. For me, I'm just sort of settling into things again, and as you will have seen, I've been putting a lot more out on social media. For those of you that are vaguely interested in this, I'm down with the kids. I'm doing some TikTok. If you are interested in following, please do, because I feel like a bit abandoned over there, because I think I've got like 4 followers. So I've only just started. I've put 2 videos up, so I need to get on that as well. Try and put some more videos up and things. But yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? So if you are interested in TikTok and you find yourself over on that platform, please do come and follow. I'm planning to make lots of little snippet videos, really, just with little tips and tricks and things like that, which I can hopefully share, and hopefully little thinking points for you all, just things for you to think about, things for you to reflect upon, because I think sometimes those types of videos are really helpful, aren't they? Anyway, back to today. So what I was thinking about today is empathy. And we talk a lot, don't we, about the core conditions and about how those core conditions are really important. And I agree, they are very important. And some of it is the fact that we need to be able to not just feel something, but we need to be able to communicate that to our clients. And so I thought I would talk today about something which often stumps people. And, certainly from my experience of teaching, I would ask the question around empathy, and we would talk about, okay, it's not enough to just feel empathy for the other person. We have to find a way to communicate it. And I'd ask the question, how can we communicate empathy? And often people would they'd say the same types of things. Or, you can look interested. And it's things like that. But actually, there are some ways that you can really deeply connect with somebody. And for those of you that have trained with me before, so any of my ex-students, I apologise in advance for this next bit, but you may know what's coming whenever we talk about empathy. And it is about this understanding that in order to be with a client and to be truly with them, we need to be prepared to get down in the dirt with them, as I always say. So if you imagine that your client is at the bottom of a pit, they're in a big muddy pit, and they're down there in the deepest, darkest depths of what they're experiencing. Now, we as counsellors can choose to look down into the pit. We can shout down to them, hey, hope you're okay. Or we can choose to scramble down into that pit with them. And it might mean that on the way down we rip our clothes and that our nails get broken and we get covered in mud on the way down. But we scramble down and we sit with them. And we sit with them in whatever they are experiencing for that time, for that hour, we're together with them. And we might be covered in mud. And that's okay. It's part of us being there and wanting to be fully with them. Wanting to fully understand the depths of what they're going through. And then, at the end of that hour, we scrabble back up. We leave them in there probably, but we scramble back up, we dust ourselves off, and we get ready to do it all again with our next client. But what's so important is, how do we communicate empathy? We can feel it, sure, and we can have a real sense of feeling empathy for other people. But how do we make sure that we're communicating that across the room to the client? How do they know that we're feeling empathy? And that can be a real challenge for counsellors in training. In fact, it could be a challenge for all of us. How do we show empathy? So I thought I would make an episode on this today to just talk about that, so that, if you are struggling to show empathy in skills practice or on placement, maybe this will be helpful to you. I hope it is. So when I think about empathy, I think about really wanting to be down in the dirt with them, as I said. Now, people talk about it as walking in the client's shoes and things like that, but for me that doesn't compute in my head. Like, what does that mean, walking in their shoes? But something that feels really important is wanting to be in it with them. And in that time, for that hour or 50 minutes, whatever it is you're with them, you think of nobody except for the person in front of you. You don't think about your stuff. You're fully with them and you're actively listening. And you're really actively listening. You can reflect back to them to show that you're listening actively. So you can reflect back a sentence. You quietly nod. Your facial expressions show that you're really actively listening because you want to be there and you want to understand everything that they're telling you. That's how empathy is displayed. I want to understand this. I want to be here with you in this. So yes, we listen really, really actively. Really key. They need to know that you're there fully with them. Not thinking about anything else. You're there with them for that time. Other things we can do is we can validate them. We can validate their feelings. Saying things like, my gosh, that sounds so hard. Or, that sounds like a real challenge. Or, as you said that, I felt a real deep sense of something within me. That sounds tough. So really putting yourself in a place where you can understand, not just on a cognitive level, but you can feel it too. That's so important. It's so important for your client to hear that and to see that from you. So you can validate them. And, yes, there are responses that you can say, such as, that sounds difficult, or that doesn't sound great, whatever it might be. But it's, how do we say that in a way that they really get it? They really get that we're doing our best to understand. We're doing our best to walk alongside them. We all want that for our clients, don't we? We want to understand them. They want us to understand them. And it's about, how do we show that we want that? How do we show that we're there with them and for them in that time? We can be really aware of body language as well. So thinking about our own body language and our own facial expressions. How could you show it with your body? Things like leaning forward slightly in the chair can be really helpful. Really intently looking at them, but I don't mean intensely, but intently. So really looking at them to understand. You're understanding where they're coming from and you want to understand. So really being aware of not closing yourself off, not crossing your arms and crossing your legs, but sitting openly, being prepared to listen. Sitting in a still way sometimes can be really helpful, a way where the client knows that you're really holding what they're telling you. There's no distractions. You're not fiddling around in your chair. You're sitting and you're really there, again, intently listening, but not with intensity, but with intention. So really bear that in mind, that they need to know that you're wanting to understand. Understanding is the key with empathy. And that's probably where that phrase walking in their shoes comes from. You want to know what it's like to walk a mile in their shoes. It's kind of that, isn't it? And for some of you, that might really resonate. For me, it kind of doesn't. It doesn't really compute, as I say. Something else that can really give the feeling that you want to understand is asking the right types of questions. So asking questions that are open, so questions that they can't say yes or no to, can really help. So you're really wanting to explore with them in a really deep way what it is that they're experiencing, how they're feeling about it, what it's like to be them. And so asking questions that are very open can make a really, really big difference. So really think about the way that you ask questions. And sometimes you're bound to ask a question that's a closed question, so it's a yes or no type question, because sometimes you need a simple yes or no. In other circumstances, a lovely open question, again, just shows that you're wanting to understand, but it also gives the client space to explore. They are exploring exactly the depths of what they're going through in answering your questions, and for them to reflect and to really think. And it comes back to you being able to show that you're listening actively by reflecting back or paraphrasing some really key things that they say. That shows that you're really in it. You're not looking at the clock or fiddling around with what you're wearing. You're there to really listen, and I think that is fundamental, really. When you're listening, you want to understand, you're able to communicate empathy. So, for me, it's about the client needing to know that you're there with them and for them, and you want to understand. And what you're telling them and what you're hearing is all part of that, and it's all part of how you can communicate. And that validation that they haven't gone mad, the validation that really does sound really difficult, or that does sound tough, can go such a long way for a client needing that support. So it's a big part of our work. It really is, genuinely. It's called the core conditions for a reason, and of course it's one of the main fundamental core conditions. And it's not as easy as it sounds sometimes to convey empathy. We could think to ourselves, well, I'm training to be a counsellor, I must have lots of empathy within me. And yeah, you probably do. You're probably naturally an empathetic person. But the learning is about how to make sure that your client is picking that up from you. And I think that is where the beauty of it all lies, really. So this was quite short and sweet today, but I wanted to just touch base, and I'm hoping to do this with the other core conditions as well, and just talk about them in a bit more depth. And they're so fundamental. And if ever you're stuck, or someone's tried to teach it to you at college and it doesn't feel like it fits, or you're not quite sure, I'm hoping that listening to these episodes will really help you to get in touch with what it is. It's not just about understanding what it is, but it's about getting in touch and really feeling what it is. So if ever you're in doubt, have a think about that analogy, scrambling down the hole to meet the client in the dirt. That could be really powerful and really, really special. And it makes me so happy and so honoured to do this work sometimes because of that. So I hope that kind of sinks in a little bit for you, and I hope that that's been helpful. For anybody that needs anything from me, if you want to ask any questions, you want to reach out about supervision, anything like that you need, please do get in touch. Whether you're a training person, a counsellor in training, that might be the better way of saying it, or whether you're a qualified counsellor just wanting to think about supervision in a different way, please reach out. That's what I'm here for. Follow me on Facebook if it's helpful to you, and feel free to reach out on there. Ask any questions, drop me a message. I'm here and I'm available if that's what you would like. So, in the meantime, thank you as usual for all of the amazing support that you give me. I hope that this very short episode is something that has piqued your interest, and I hope that the other episodes in this series will be helpful for you. But take really good care of yourself and mind how you go. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.